Good morning. Well, Jen from Community Realty asked me to come over and do a film for a walk around of our house. So I'm starting out in the backyard. This is got a turkey vulture flying over top the house right now. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. You get a lot of wildlife here that come in from the lake, which is only a couple hundred yards away, as the crow flies, or as the turkey vulture flies, I guess. Anyway, this is 1180 Haslett Road. This house was built in 1874. The property actually dates back to 1836. And this is the backyard and the garage that I built in 1998. We actually hit the old foundation from a house from the 1860s when we put that in. But the house itself here is from 1874. It's had a couple of renovations done to it. About 1904, they added the kitchen. And that was an add-on right there at the turn of the century. And so it's been put together over the course of several years, several century now. So I'm going to walk you around and kind of give you an idea of this place. So hopefully I'll give you something that's comprehensive so you can get an idea of why it was that we decided to stay here for 23 years. My kids were born here. Now they're grown up. My oldest son's got his own house in Lansing. My daughter, she's in college. Spends her summers out on doing internships in Wisconsin. My youngest, he's 19 and starting at the community college. I might as well take you through here. I know this is probably backwards from what Jen wants me to do, but this is our little garden shed. Dates back to the 1920s. You can still see some remnants of the old post and tube wiring that used to run through here. Right now, unfortunately, I think the red squirrels have moved in because I've been gone. And it's mostly empty. I've got a few things to take out still. Take them over to the new place. I live about 6 miles away from here now. House with 3 bedrooms instead of 5, since I wasn't using most of the bedrooms after my kids moved out. And we wanted to have a place that had a little more acreage and a pole barn so I could work on my cars, motorcycle restorations and stuff. So this is going on to, now we're looking east from Academic Way at the garage. This was built in 1998. I designed it. When we bought the house in 1997, that was one of the stipulations from my wife, is it needed a garage because all it had was this lean-to, and I'll talk about that later. This is a door that's getting replaced. This will be replaced before, hopefully, you buy it. The door's actually in here already. And the way it's built is we have a spot here for your air compressor. And then we have the downstairs of the garage here, which is fully heated. And we've got a window air conditioner that will actually cool the whole building. Costs you about $40 a month to run the heat in here. I got electrical outlets every 6 feet. So there's 32 electrical outlets in this building. Even got them in the ceiling here. So there's lots of workspace, lots of places to plug in your appliances. It has a floor drain, so that way you can, in the winter, you can actually wash your cars with a bucket right here. Keep your cars clean if you want. Comes with a garage stereo. I think I'm going to leave the stereo. I'm going to get a different one. But, you know, being a guy from the 80s, of course, you have to have your monster speakers up there. So you can crank it up 200 watts a channel. I know your neighbors. Actually, I guess I used to be the loudest neighbor on the block, but no, I'm not. So the furnace is a Rd, 93% efficient furnace. And the building itself was constructed with R49 insulation in the roof, and I packed as much as I could into the walls. So it really stays nice and warm during the winter and nice and cool during the summer. And it's got a 50 amp circuit breaker that's slaved off the main house. This little box right here, this is for data. So that way you can take your Cat 5 cable over from your house, from your DSL, and you can then run internet over here. The upstairs of the garage This is one of the great features of this carriage house here was that we got the township to give me a waiver, a variance, so I could go up a little bit higher on my roof to match the colonial revival architecture of the main house. And this is the upstairs. Used to use it for ham radio, exercise room, and home office. It was just a really great place to go out to, and we'd play air hockey, and you know, we all had our space. So this is the upstairs of this 24 by 32 colonial revival carriage house that we built. And again, it's been freshly painted, ready to go. It smells like new paint. We're going to put this new door in for you. Want to take advantage of the beautiful day. See, my grass is growing. I'm going to have to take and probably mow some grass. Oh, I don't know if you saw the lawnmower in there. That old Craftsman mower. It's a mid-1990s model. It never fails. And if you need a lawnmower, just ask about it. Otherwise, I'll take it over to the other house and use it to haul trailers or something. So here's the yard. It's a corner lot. We did a bunch of landscaping last year. Regraded the front here, and had all the rocks put in for ease of maintenance, and all the bushes and things. I guess they're starting to come on now that the winter is over. Somebody took my pot. Lady has a farmhouse, and she was looking for she wanted a garden pot, but she left the mess. I guess I better clean that up. Comes with a porch. This house at one time actually had a wraparound porch. I kind of wish we could still do that, but I think setback rules probably wouldn't allow for it anymore. But it used to be one of those houses that had one of those wraparound porches that went all the way around the house back at the turn of the century. The roof is pretty much new. I'll see if I can show it to you here. It's actually put on in three sections at 3 different dates. This section over the porch here was put on about 10 years ago. A company called Oddfellows Contracting out of Williamston did that for me back when they were a new company. And then the second section over here, that was put on in December of 2015, so it's about coming up on 4.5 years old. That section was put on to match the original shingles of the house. And they got like the last batch of shingles of that particular style, and that was discontinued. So then in 2017, we had some straight line winds come through and stripped off a bunch of my shingles from some what do they call that when the wind goes through really fast? Yeah. Anyway, we lost a bunch of shingles, so between ourselves and Allstate, we ended up having to get 2 new roofs for the garage and also for the top of the house. And those were put on about 1.5 years ago, and that was done by a company called Avalon out of Grand Rapids. And those are 50-year architectural shingles from GAF. And they're in a silver fox. So if you look at it, you'll see three different color shingles, but they're a pretty close match. And then the garden shed, that was a home project for myself and my 2 kids, and so I taught them how to do roofing. So that was done using some leftover shingles that we had from the project. So it's all kind of, the roof itself is about $30,000 worth of roofing. So you don't need to worry about roof on this place. So I'm going to try and talk you through some of the good, I guess the bad, and the ugly. When you got a house from 1874, it's got 145 years worth of love So not everything is perfect. All right, here is the garage, the attached garage done in 2015 as part of that renovation. It's pretty extensive renovation. We did about $65,000 renovation back in 4.5 years ago. And part of it was replacing the old garage. This was a lean-to that was put on by Old Man Wilkins to house his '53 Cadillac. That was put onto the spot back when this house still had a farm. And C.O. Wilkins's garage finally gave up the ghost, so we had to replace it. So we built this one. And it's got a 12-foot ceiling. That's not because I wanted a 12-foot ceiling, but we wanted to make sure that we matched the architecture of the house. We wanted the roof line to look good and to be consistent with the rest of the house. That's why it comes out straight and why it's got that 12-foot ceiling in there. But that has some advantages because you can build yourself a loft in there. And what we used to do is we'd hang our kayaks up here, and you could stack your kayaks one on top of the other right up in there, and big ladders and bicycles. So there's lots of space in here, and it's nice and fresh. So I'll take you in the house. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up, if you don't mind. So this is the basement going in. It's dark. I'm going to turn the lights on in a second. And this is our mudroom area here. And that has the laundry and everything in it. These are old counter cupboards. I've got pictures of the house in the 1970s where these are mounted in the original kitchen. And they were mounted out here by the prior owner. And going into the basement, I'm going to have to probably turn on a flashlight for this place. Here, let's see how this works. Mind you, I'm not a professional at this, so I'm going to show you around the good, the bad, the ugly. This is a Michigan basement, except for one thing. It is more dry than most Michigan basements, and it is deep. And I don't know when it was they put concrete in the floor. I think it would have been about 1976 or so that they poured concrete in here. It's about 45, 50 years ago. We got a concrete floor. All this ductwork and everything we did in 2003. And so in 2003, we installed this Rd energy efficient furnace with the Aprilaire electronic cleaner, and as well as the humidifier in there. And what we've done is been able to cut the power bill and the natural gas bill for this house to an average of about $277 a month. That includes both buildings, the house as well as the pole barn, or I mean as well as the carriage house, both with electricity and heat. So it's a relatively efficient house considering its size and its age. And it's what's called a post and beam construction house. So you can see that the house is actually built on some repurposed timbers from some prior construction. So it's got all this great hand-hewed beams and stuff in it. And I've put these posts in here mostly because when my kids were little and they were jumping around a lot, these beams were bouncy. So we put these in just so the floor felt more solid, not because of any sagging issues or anything. It just made it feel better. So that's our basement, nice and dry. The part over the kitchen is a crawl space, and I'm going to show you. This is what I call the ugly. It's like moon dust up there. But I put all new piping in here. Back when we bought the house in '97, it had cast iron plumbing. And I remember going up there and wiggling some pipes, and the pipes stopped flowing water. And they were so calcified. I mean, they were ancient pipes. And so I went through and I completely redid everything in copper. And as you see, there's lots of shut-off valves. So everything is zoned with the water. So that way when the washing machine turns on, you don't end up with a cold shower. So it's all been zoned with what's called a common plenum design, where you bring in the cold water on a big 3/4 inch pipe, And you take out the hot water on a big 3/4 inch pipe, and that every location that goes to a faucet comes off of a 3/4 inch pipe. And so nothing goes to, you don't end up with 2 spots off a 1/2 inch pipe, except maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. But I think most of them are all, yeah, see what I've done? All 3/4 inch, and then each line goes to an off faucet. This one goes to the toilet, and each one has its own valve. So that way you get really good water pressure everywhere. That's been done. And when we built the carriage house, we converted the house to a 200 amp service. So we've got lots of circuit breakers and lots of space for additional wiring. Anything that is current intensive is on its own circuit, like the kitchen west, disposal, basement plugs, furnace, etc., etc. So we've done this so that way we've upgraded the power as best we can. The top 2 floors still are running on old circuits, but that's just for lights and those places where we want a window air conditioner or some current for, say, a home office. We have actually run a separate circuit and put an outlet on the wall in that one room. I didn't note it in here, but I got running out to the garage, I've got 2 outlets. One is a 220 volt outlet and one is a 120 volt outlet that's tied directly to the circuit for the furnace. That way, if you got a small 2 kilowatt generator and you need emergency power, you can jack in your 2 kilowatt generator and you can power your furnace so that you always got heat, even if you lose power in the middle of the winter, like we did back in 2013 when we had a big ice storm. So it's set up for your generators, just emergency generator, but it would work. And the 220 volts out in that little garage is in case you want to put your air compressor out there or something like that. So that's the basement there, you guys. They probably had a door right here at one time, and they probably brought the coal in from that door to feed the coal furnace back in the 1930s. This is our laundry room area. The laundry room is set up for gas dryer and a washing machine. And over in this little cubby, this is where you can put your freezer. And this light here usually is on. And we used to run that 24/7, and the light would reflect off the wall and up the stairway. So it was like having your own night light. It lights up pretty much the whole house. Here's our kitchen. It's been a while since I've been in this. Kitchen has a KitchenAid. We did, again, these go back to 2015 when we put the new stove in, the microwave oven, and the kitchen cupboards. We replaced the countertops a few years prior to that, or before that. And so Bosch washing machine or dishwasher, and the Samsung refrigerator. My wife feels bad about leaving this here. But I told her, hey, we got a nice one over at the new house, and it's not as nice as this one, though. But anyways, here is our dining room. We renovated this in 2015, end of 2015, early 2016. The same time we did that garage and we did the roof. Started out with, and if you ask me for them, I can send you the still photos of the renovation project. But we started out with a bathroom upstairs that the toilet or the bathtub didn't flow anymore. So I said to Oddfellows, while you're fixing that garage up and renovating it, how about we fix that? You guys help me fix up that bathtub because it doesn't flow anymore. They said, oh, it's just a P-trap. We'll go in through the ceiling. It'll be super easy. Well, 2 days later, diamond saws in hand, they had like 2 inches thick plaster laying on the floor here, about 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of plaster. And they had there was 2 inches of plaster in the ceiling, and they pulled it all down and found a unsecured cross beam. It's a great big beam, and I can show you the pictures of it sometime. And anyway, it came over to here where it was hanging free because this used to be a wall. And when they did the renovation in 1904 and the expansion, they just cut the crossbeam off and put up some 2x4s in the attic to hold it in place. Actually, they're 4x8s. They're big ones, but it wasn't done quite right. So we ended up having to relocate the doorway from here over to here, and then put in a beam through the ceiling because of that, to secure that. So that's all been corrected with the blessing of a professional engineer, structural engineer. And then all this wood you see was all handcrafted by a friend of mine, colleague. And it all comes from a locally sourced oak tree out of Okemos. And we actually duplicated the trim. We actually had knives cut to duplicate the trim of the house to make it all look natural. And it's all been stained to match all the original hardwood. So we put in that false beam and all of the coving here in the ceiling, just to make it look nice. And if you can see it, I don't know if I can get it in the light. Oh yes, you can. Right over here. See the wall with the textured. This is called Anaglypta wall covering, and it is a wall covering that's period correct. It's been around for 150 years. It's a linen, actually, that's put on like wallpaper, and then you paint it. And so this was painted, or I painted it, but the guy that put it up for us, Al Borner is his name. He's now retired, and he's like the best wall covering guy in Michigan. So he did that for us. And this is our living room. Again, you can see we've got Anaglypta on the wall. That this textured wall covering is again, it's correct for the age of the building. And we did this room, renovated it about 10, 12 years ago, with all new curtains and everything. And even this doorbell, 1950 doorbell. This is original to the house, except that it needed the little motor inside had gone bad, so it's been converted over to a microprocessor, and it rings it. So it rings with a little microprocessor in there that makes the doorbell go ding. It's all very cool. This is bedroom number 1. This is on the first floor in the western side of the house. Bedroom 1, I would consider it to be the master. It has its own bathroom and its own walk-in closet right here. It's probably the only place where you still have wallpaper. As far as we can tell, the house never really got painted. It was always wallpapered. We took down 9 layers of wallpaper in one of the bedrooms upstairs. And this is our downstairs bathroom. Again, we did this renovation now going on about 15 years. 2005, it was my gift to my wife, was the redo of the bathroom. So we put in Kohler fixtures, nice sink and vanity from Headland Plumbing, the quarter round bathtub to take advantage of the space as much as best we could. And then we also got a nice Kohler extended toilet here. So therefore it's a good toilet. And then all the hardwood and everything was all done at that time. This room, actually that bathroom was put in 1938, I think it was, according to the prior owners. It's because of C.O. Wilkins' daughter had gotten polio, and that's where she got to be quarantined for a whole summer. And I found little notes from her as I was renovating it. She had shoved them into the door jamb. And this is the closet underneath the stairwell, and the last of the pizza colored carpeting when we first moved in. It's funny about this room. This place had up there an old Edison light bulb at one time. And when the Wilkins sisters came over, when they were 80 years old, they wanted to see the house. And my wife was cleaning that closet like 30 minutes before they got there, and I said to my wife, I said, just calm down, they're not going to look in the closet. Well, sure as shooting, that's the very first place they went, was that closet, looking for that Edison light bulb. So we'll go to the second floor here, where I'll show you bedrooms 2, 3, 4, and 5. These stairs still have that classic creak. Some of the squeaks here. It was funny how we used to get people come over and visit this house that used to be here back when they were kids. And I had a lady go down come up these stairs, and she started crying when she heard them creaking. All right, I'm going to go to the southeast corner, and I'll walk you through the 4 bedrooms. Now this used to be my daughter's bedroom. The wood flooring was put in about 1950 by C.O. Wilkins. And when you come into this room in reality, you're going to find there's a slope on the floor. My kids used to run their little Hot Wheels cars down the floor. Apparently the house must have had some sag, or else it was built that way at the turn of the century. But ever since 1950, there's never been any evidence of movement or cracking, so it's stable. And this is the room that had the 9 layers of wallpaper. Nice deep closets that you can go into. Some spare paint for you. Windows are, 2 of the windows are replacement windows. We left the single panes in here because they're so big and they're made out of hardwood and they look really cool. So I haven't changed them out. They do leak some air. This is bedroom number 3. This is the southwest corner. Again, it's got a generous closet. Not too much to write home about. Another one of those single panes. This window needs some help, I think. That's so yeah, when you get to look at this house, you're going to probably find that the windows are going to need to be addressed. I gave it a shot once. So just keep that in mind. And again, I don't forget the dimensions of this room. 11 by 12. Those are the 2 largest bedrooms. Here's bedroom number 4. This was our music room. We had this set up for a music room and a home office. I did forget to mention bedroom number 3 there that we just looked at has a outlet that's dedicated for 15 amps, so you can put a window air conditioner in here. But the house is now converted to central air, so you don't need to. But you could definitely plug your laptop or plug your computer system into it. These doors, we started refinishing them, and I stripped all the white paint off of them. But I only got part way. So I was going to paint them white. But then I thought, no, maybe somebody else will want them to be finished natural. So I've left them unpainted for now. So if you decide that you want them painted or unpainted, just write it in the offer. Doors painted or doors left unpainted. If you want me to paint them white, I will gladly paint them white for you. And this is the closet in here. Because it was the music room, we never really set it up for any clothes racks or anything. So that's bedroom number, what was that, 4? Yeah. We'll go down here to bedroom number 5. This is getting up into the northwest corner of the house, right here. And there's the son's bedroom here. So, old closets of a typical of an 1870s home. And here's the air. This is how the air gets up into the house through these gas forced air ducts. Funny story about that duct there. This room in 1976 was Scotty Haydinger's, little Scotty Haydinger's bedroom. And the Haydinger family, who I bought the house from, they moved in. At the time, there were some fresh holes in the side of the garden shed out there. And those holes had been put in that garden shed by a very angry housewife who was after her husband, who apparently was having an affair. And so sure enough, Scotty moves into his bedroom here. And what's any curious boy do? He pulls up that grate and he found a big stack of love letters from the homeowner's mistress. So, before I take you to the piece de resistance, I'll take you through this. This is the upstairs bathroom. It's got a clawfoot bathtub, you know, and it's kind of small, but remember this is 1874, so the house has been renovated or been retrofitted with a bathroom, probably sometime in the 30s. And we put in a vanity and a new faucet and another American Standard toilet. Behind the door here, little panel, and inside this little panel we have water pipes that go to the 3rd floor of the house, and there's some valves there that allow you to turn off the water to the 3rd floor, so that way you can winterize the 3rd floor. You don't have to heat it, and those are located in there. So that's an important detail, because we got the water turned off to the 3rd floor. That way you don't have to worry about pipes. And then we got this attic space. Let's see if we can do this. This attic is above the kitchen, and it goes all the way back. And you can see you got some blown-in insulation back there. That's probably 50, 60-year-old insulation. It's decently insulated. It could be done better. But you got the hardwood, you got these hardwood planks in here, so you've got lots of storage area in your attic for putting stuff. But this isn't the only attic. Because this is an old farmhouse after all. This would have been the attic. But now it's called the Rock and Roll Room, and that's its actual name. So we're now going up to we've seen all 5 bedrooms. This is the bonus room. So we're now on the 3rd floor of the house. And it's all decorated. It was done in 1950 by C.O. Wilkins. This is what he did for 11 years. It's like I built that garage, he built this. And it's all still preserved just like it was in 1950. So the Rock and Roll Room has built-in shelves, bookshelves. This little outlet right here, I put that in. That is another 15 amp circuit that you can run a air conditioner, window air conditioner in. So that way you can keep this room cool. And during the winter, if you have guests that stay, which we have on occasion, they'll stay with us. We've had some that have stayed for us for the summer. And occasionally we've had guests come in from out of state who will stay here. And then you can turn on the fireplace. This is a gas fireplace, circa 1950, and it works. I've checked carbon monoxide lots of times. Never seen any carbon monoxide because it all goes up up the chimney. And at one time, this was C.O. Wilkins's bridge party room. So it's decorated like a ship. He used to have a ship wheel that he had up in front of that window. Hence the green and the red lights that represent port and starboard. And so he has all this little ship's motif in here. Step up and let down. This is the bathroom on the 3rd floor. Just a little one. Kind of reminds me of something from an airplane. But of course he calls it the ship's head. So lots of space. You can do lots of different things up here. There are a couple of knee walls that are all in the corners, and I'm not going to try and take you through them, but there are access panels into the knee walls. It's not pretty in there. It's blown in insulation, and in some cases you know, there's evidence of old squirrels and hickory nuts from, I don't know, probably a century ago out in there. So that's that is getting you from up to the 3rd floor of the house. From the basement to the 3rd floor, 4 levels. And here's the top of the garage. I'll see if I can stabilize this camera so you can see the roof a little bit better. It was done by a place called Avalon out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they put the GAF shingles on. It took us a little while because GAF wanted to try a new color, so it's called Silver Fox, and they just were getting ready to release it, and so this was the very first shipment of those Silver Fox shingles. And GAF is a Michigan company, by the way. But they put that roof on for us on both buildings. The ham radio antenna you see there, that's going to go. We're going to take that down. That way you don't have to worry about it. Unless you're a ham radio operator. If you're a ham radio operator, let me know, and I'll leave it for you. So, there, I've walked you through all sections of the house. Let me see here. Time for the bonus features, huh? Okay. What else can I tell you? We've tried to preserve fixtures wherever we can, by putting in some low efficiency or some high efficiency light bulbs, LEDs and compact bulbs. This second floor here runs off the original wiring of the house, which does not have a ground. It's a 2-wire. But we felt that we made a decision that the only thing that gets used up here are clock radios and lights. So the current draw up here is very low. And our electrician told us that post and tube wiring that runs the third floor and the second floor here is sufficient for running low current stuff. So, everything that has a load, the stereo, central air, anything in the kitchen, that's all on new wire. This outlet right here, this is a 15 amp outlet on the second floor. That right there has its own circuit. It goes only to here. So you can, if you have to run a workstation or anything heavy duty on their second floor, you can source it off of that outlet right there. Otherwise, everything's solid. Trying to think of what else I can tell you about this place. Appliances. We went over those already. Washer and dryer. We gave those to our oldest son as a housewarming present. He bought himself a new house, a new used house, and needed a washer and dryer, so those have gone there. They weren't worth too much. The dryer was from 1991, October of 91. I bought that new, and only had to put a roller in it. Nice and reliable. Cupboards. These were put in just a couple years ago. These particular cupboards. The rest of them are go back to 1998. Oh, yeah. This comes with the house too. This is the whiskey bottle that we found in the ceiling when doing the renovation. All I can figure is the carpenter came along and he was putting in this kitchen, and he cut out the wall and he cantilevered it, and then he says, "What am I going to do with that crossbeam?" And then he drank this bottle of whiskey, threw it in the ceiling, and put in 2 inches of plaster to fix the problem. That's my story. That's my guess. Anyway, that right there is one of the relics of the house. The bottle does date to pre-prohibition. It's a little whiskey bottle for you, just to tell stories. Anyway, got some firewood for you. That's all black walnut that you can put in the fire ring and have your own little fires in the backyard. We did that a lot with our family, and we would have people over from the high school and the elementary school, and we'd do movie nights out here and put up a screen against that wall and show movies outdoors. It's kind of like a drive-in, your own drive-in movie theater. That was a lot of fun. So that's my house. I hope you enjoy this video and our virtual walkthrough. And if you have any questions, just ask Jen, and then she'll probably ask me. And if you want any extra photographs of the... Oh, I guess I got some more relics to take home. If you have any more questions or whatever, feel free to call us. Call Jen, and she'll relay them. And I really hope that you decide to become one of our neighbors. Thanks a lot.